5 p.m. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. I'll ask Commissioner Stewart, if you will, lead us in the invocation and the pledge.
Thank you. Please stand and join us. Heavenly Father, again, we thank you for this opportunity to come together here and serve the citizens of this county. Lord, I just ask that you grant us divine wisdom tonight as we make the decisions that affect all the citizens in our county. Lord, we just thank you for your grace and mercy, and we ask you these things in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you all for coming out tonight. We have several opportunities for you to join us and participate. We have a citizens to be heard at the beginning or at the end. You can speak on either of the two of your choice. You can also speak on each individual agenda item that's scheduled. If you will, please fill out a speaker card with Miss Patty on each individual one, and when you come up, give us your name and address so the folks at home can hear it as well. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, we have a couple of changes. One, we have a revised Appendix B1 to tab 27. And
Say that again.
there's a revised Appendix B1 to the contract that is at item tab 27.
Okay.
That's been handed out to you all, and then you have your add-on item, Mr. Chairman.
And I would like to pull on item 7 just because I want to make a comment about it.
7 on consent.
Uh-huh.
And I have a add-on item under Commissioner agenda items. Any further changes?
I'll move as amended. Approve it amended.
Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Passes 5-0. Patty, any citizens to be heard? All right. So we will go into our public hearings. Item number 1. All right. This is the first of 2 required public hearings on the Wkaulla County budget for fiscal year 2018-2019. If you wish to speak during the public hearing portion of this meeting, please step forward at the appropriate time. The tentative aggregate millage is 8.0000 mills, which is 2.43% more than the aggregate rollback millage rate of 7.8099 mills. Now the county administrator will read the tentative millage rate into the public record.
The proposed Board of County Commissioners of Wkaulla County tentative countywide millage rate is 8.000 mills, which is 2.43% more than the countywide rollback millage rate of 7.8099 mills.
I'm opening up the floor for a motion to begin the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. At this time, the individuals that have turned in a speaker card to the clerk are allowed to speak. Any speakers, Patty? No speakers. No speakers. Is there any discussion?
I'd just like to make discussion on it, but the percentage above, I suspect, is going to be close to the CPI. When I always talk about the rollback rate versus whatever, so that's it.
Very good. Further discussion? Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Florida statutes require the board to address the tentative millage rate before addressing the tentative budget. The board must vote on the millage rate and the budget separately. I will now entertain the following motions. Motion number 1, approve the Board of County Commissioners fiscal year 2018-2019 tentative countywide millage rate of 8.0000 mills.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Second motion for consideration, approve the Board of County Commissioners fiscal year 2018-2019 tentative countywide budget as presented by the Administrator on July 16, 2018, and as amended through the agenda process today.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. The second and final public hearing for approval of the final millage rate and budget will be held on Monday, September 17, 2018, at 5:01 p.m. And that ends public hearing item number 1. We'll go to Let's see, we got number 2. Yep, public hearing item number 2.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is, we're requesting board to approve to conduct the public hearing and adopt the annual rate resolution for your solid waste assessment.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any citizens, Patty? Discussion from the board? Hearing none?
Rate it was last year.
Same right.
Yeah, I'd like for Heather to read it, for the matter of record, just read it so the public can hear how much it is.
The rate is $196 per dwelling unit.
Okay, and that's the same as last year.
Same. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Public hearing item number 3.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is your approval to conduct the public hearing and adopt the annual rate resolution for fire. This is your fire assessment. The rates are $99 per residential dwelling unit, .1164 per square foot for non-residential property, and .2184 for land.
So moved.
Second.
Same as last year, correct, Heather?
They are the same,
Second.
yes.
No changes. We have a motion and a second. Any citizens? Further discussion from the board?
Is this one subject to CPI?
They're subject to CPI. If you make them subject to CPI, it doesn't automatically
I thought
occur.
the fire MSBU was automatically indexed to CPI, was I?
No.
We talked about doing that, but I don't think we made it.
We never took action.
We need to do that.
Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Public hearing item number 4.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is your public hearing and to adopt the annual rate resolution for the Northwood Subdivision Roadway Paving Assessment
So
Program.
moved.
Do we have a second?
Second. This only applies to the residents of Northwood subdivision, correct, Heather?
That's correct.
We have a motion and a second. Any citizens? Further discussion from the board? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Public hearing item number 5.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is to conduct the public hearing and adopt the final assessment resolution for your property abatement assessment. There is just one property abatement assessment on this roll. This was for to remove a condemned building that had become a safety hazard. The proposed assessment amount is $1,215.11.
So moved.
We have a
Second.
motion and a second. Any citizens? And that item will just stay on the tax roll till it's paid, or someone pays a tax certificate, or?
That is correct. It'll be on this tax roll that comes out in November, and if the property owner does not pay it, a tax certificate would be put up for sale for that, which would include that amount and the ad valorem on that property.
Very good. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. That ends our public hearing section. We will go into awards and presentation. We'll hear from Mr. Jim McShane, Career Source Capital Region. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So thank you. I'm here to report from our last program year, which ended in June of this year. First thing I'm going to go to, got it? Ready. Oop, did I go the wrong way? There we go. So Career Source Capital Region is connecting employers with qualified skilled talent and Floridians with employment and our career opportunities to achieve economic prosperity in Gadsden, Leon, and Wkaulla counties. Our business members, according to federal law, we have to have a majority of business members with the idea that business knows what the needs are for talent. And so those are the current board members that are representing the 3 counties. So your county is fully represented at this point, which is great. And we appreciate Kevin Vaughn and Sarah Murphy for being involved. By law, we're also required to have community partner board members. So we have a whole list of board members here that meet the federal requirements that our law requires. So total board members is 23, and we have good participation at this point. Give you a sense of our top advertised occupations in demand. It's no surprise that registered nurse
is number one. It's number one in the whole country. It's not going to change. Part of the issue relates to a number of clinicals available in the hospitals. That's a limiting factor. The other limiting factor is master's degree and above nurses in order to teach in the universities and the college. Generally, the healthcare system pays quite a bit more than the universities and college, and therefore there's no inclination to, the colleges and university pay more than the hospitals. Software developers, right now we have, typically we have right now over 200 jobs available for IT, and we cannot fill them. We do not have people to fill those. We do a lot of training in truck driving and truck driver school. Computer analyst and retail sales are the next ones. These are the top 10 employers in our region by ads that they put into the newspaper and to web pages. So as you can see, Florida State University's in there. They do use this. Capital Regional Medical's in there. Tallahassee Memorial. Just a whole lot of folks that use us on a regular basis. But the key is this report right here. This is our operations report to you, which I gave you last year, and I'll give you each year so that you get a sense of what we're doing. So in the last program year, we provided 16,248 services to businesses in our 3 counties. We prepared our skilled workforce by providing solutions to over 30,000 career seekers that came to our offices. Business hiring events, we've had 203. That includes all different kinds of hiring events that we do. Our career center visits are 31,000 for the 3 career centers that we have. Seeking hiring events, career seeker events, 640. And then finally our financial aid, we spent $982,957 of federal money last year to help people with tuition, books, and other things that are required by their job. So I think the one thing that we did this year that Ralph was part of in our grand opening is that we moved back to our center. We opened a new center. We redid the interior like we did in Leon County, and it'll be something I can do in Gadsden, hopefully, when I have the money to do it. So hopefully, and it has made a difference. We have quite a bit more traffic now. I would say Wkaulla County is going to be double in the traffic that we've had over the previous year just because of our new location. So real pleased with that location, and we really have a lot of good things going, working with the school system directly, doing all sorts of things to help our youth and get them prepared for a job.
Where's the new location?
It's right down the street on Crawfordville Road, where we used to be like 4 years ago in the mall. I don't know what that's called.
By the Ming Tree. Okay.
Main Tree, yep. So come and see us. If you haven't been there, you should see it. It's a beautiful location. We really do a lot of good work there. So our Career Center visitors, just to see, Wkaulla had over 4,000 visitors in the last program year. We do have an executive center, which is where my offices are, and that usually handles folks that have PhDs, master's degrees, and others to try and help them find employment. Gadsden was 9,000, and of course Leon with 15. We do have our top 5 schools that we send people to training. National Training is a truck driving school. Same with Roadmaster. We do a lot of work with that because everybody that goes to those schools gets employed. And so, you know, one of our requirements by the federal law and what we're held accountable for is how many people did we place in a job. And we are also held accountable for what the average wage is. Top financial aid programs that we use to help people is registered nursing and truck driving, practical nursing, dental hygiene, and welding, were mostly where we put our money in the past year. We, as I said, remodeled the Career Center, so we had the ribbon cutting in January 31st of this year, so we're really pleased with what's happening there, and again, I invite you all to go to that. We've done a lot of local business talent hiring. Of 92 Career Center seekers, 45 were offered positions that day when we had our hiring event. That is pretty typical with the retail, especially in the restaurant business. We've done as many as 90 to 100 people in a day. And it's very effective. Most of our restaurants that are up in the area, especially ones that have multiple sites and multiple locations, like Hardee's and some others, have used us exclusively because we really can bring out enough people that they can hire on the spot. Saves them a lot of time. Oop. Oh, there it is. We're also in a regional partnership at this point. One of the things that Department of Labor is looking for is when you're in a labor shed, which we are, that includes southern Georgia, we ought to be looking at how do we coordinate that, because our businesses need talent. Talent doesn't care about state lines. Talent will come wherever it's going to go in order to get a good job. So we are now part of the Florida-Georgia Workforce Alliance. And we have 3 workforce boards in Georgia and 3 workforce boards in Florida that are working together in helping our business community find the talent they're looking for. And then, of course, WCI, we work with them. Our Florida Department of Corrections, we're doing a recruitment event, I think tomorrow, for corrections, so we do that on a regular basis. We also want to give you a little bit of hope in connecting you with the talent. This is a Wkaulla career seeker, and the story's there. I won't read it to you, but this is typical of what we do on a regular basis. We use the hashtag changing lives, and we do that every day with a whole lot of folks with what we do. And this, I don't know, can you go to the video or not? Is that possible? So it's very short.
We don't wipe our hands, but our job is done. We don't have a lot of say in what's going to go on with them the day after they graduate. It seems like a chance to help them a little bit farther along.
So, what are some of your interests? What are some of your interests? I like animals.
So Dynamic Futures is our youth program that we run for age 16 to 24 out of school at-risk youth. The entire program is designed to teach these youth about career paths, professionalism in the workplace, soft skills, and really get them prepared for their first job.
So, how do you picture your life? What do you want? I had an interview at Burger King, but that was before you guys started coming to us. And I thought it's going to be much, and I kept it froze.
Well, I'm interested in music. My whole family is the same. It was a long journey, but overall, I got better, talking with different people and singing, so it was something. Music is my outlet to overcome my obstacles that life throws my way. Because it has no boundaries, music lets me be free.
So 5 years from now, I can see myself horse to car to becoming a veterinarian. I've always wanted to express my creativity and personality in a variety of ways.
We combine that with a work-based training model where they will actually go on the job and practice these skills for a set number of hours and gain experience. What we hope to see is a very clean transition from high school to graduation into work and then post-secondary. And we'd like to have that transition occur from over their last year of high school and then beyond. Well, this program will definitely help them keep from disappearing. I don't know where they're going to go, but I know they're trying right now, and they want to do well.
How did and graduate stay on site over the summer? Tell us in the comments.
So this was a partnership with WFSU. They paid for the training that we did for the in-school youth because our dollars will only go for out-of-school youth. And the program that we do, Dynamic Futures, basically prepares them with soft skills, all the things that the business community is telling us most of the youth do not have. So we've done exciting changes over the last year, implemented our sector strategy, which is required, launched adult work experience opportunities, just have done a lot of things, and we have a Talent Innovation Summit on the 17th coming up at FSU's center, so that we're going to talk some more with our business community about what some of the things are that stop them from being able to find the talent they're looking for. And then finally, partnerships. I'm very much somebody that tries to go with partnerships as many places as we can, and I wanted to give you just a sense of all the different partners that we work in the community with. It is, and this probably isn't all of them, but this is most of them that I have some sort of written MOU with. And then finally, all the services that we're doing in serving our businesses. We served over 1,100 last year with those services I talked about before. We've done Paychecks for Patriots, which we'll do again in November. We do quarterly lunch and learn with Power Hour, and Connection CR, which is an employer career seeking matching. And then we tried a reverse hiring fair here a couple months ago. It went very well. Are there any questions?
Very good. Thank you for your presentation. I know that businesses have trouble screening the applicants. Are you saying that you would screen the applicants for a business?
We can do that. We have probably about 900 different assessments that we can do to see whether the person is qualified, saying whatever they're saying on their resume, whether it fits with what they actually can do.
Do you do a background check?
No, we're not allowed to do that with our federal money.
Goodness. How many of your people, how many people have you put into a job, say, in the past year?
Probably in the neighborhood of 1,200.
How many of those held that job for 1 year?
Well, all of them, because that's what we have to track them for a full year.
So you put 1,200 in and
Yep.
1,200 held the job?
Yep.
I noticed that you do for Popeyes. How many people did Popeyes hire?
I think around 35.
Very good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. That ends our awards and presentations. Do
Motion
we-
to approve consent?
Consent minus item number 7 that was pulled.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0.
Good job, Pat.
And Chuck, item number 7.
I pulled item number 7 because I just wanted to make sure that county administrator knows that the will of the board is to move forward with the feasibility study for the BMAP program. I mean, I think it's really important, and as soon as that opportunity comes, out from the state, I think we need to move forward on it. And that was the only reason I brought it up.
Let's say the BMAP program is just...
It's the state's going to pay for a feasibility study of where we can put septic tanks and where we can,
Yes, I got
sewering
you.
is the best option, okay? And, they're going to fund the whole study. We just have to move forward and get them to do it for us. And so I think it's real important that we, as soon as that's available, we approach that subject.
I'll second your motion then for the approval of the minutes.
Approval of the minutes. Motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. We also need to make sure when we hear that they've awarded the money for replacement of the septic tanks, we need to get that out as well.
Right.
They said it'd be sometime in September, but I haven't seen anything firm yet.
And the feasibility study money is supposed to come out at the same time.
Yeah.
So those are the two things we need to
Good deal.
get on as soon as we can.
All righty. We'll go into general business, item number 23.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is an item where we are seeking board direction regarding swimming and boating at county boat ramps.
Joy of joys.
In July, the board will recollect that you allowed swimming at all county boat ramps, but gave staff direction to bring back some additional code amendments to provide for additional safety of swimmers and boaters, having swimmers leave the water when a boat is launching or returning, and also to look at speed zones around the boat ramps.
I'll move option 2, which is the cheaper option, and it only applies to like 4 boat ramps, I think, that people are realistically going to swim at.
Okay, so option 2, just real quickly, this would amend the code to prohibit swimming at all but 5 of our boat ramps. The 5 boat ramps that have been identified by staff as being suitable for swimming and suitable for an idle speed zone are the Lake Ellen boat ramp, Wkaulla upper bridge, lower bridge, the Newport Park boat ramp, and then the boat ramp at Shell Point, which is the non-motorized hand launch.
On the beach, the one on the beach.
Boat ramp. Swimming would be allowed at those. However, swimmers would have to exit the water if there's a boat launching or returning. This would also amend the code to include 3 of these are already idle zones. 1 is a slow zone, but it's going to make them all idle zones. So the Lake Ellen boat ramp would become an idle speed zone, and Wkaulla upper bridge would become an idle speed zone. It's already a slow zone.
When you say the Lake Ellen ramp would become idle speed, is it going to be designated a distance?
It's 300 feet around a boat ramp.
Okay. Want to make sure that's clear, that I don't want all the Lake Ellen folks thinking that they're going to go idle speed and they'll...
Oh, no. It's just within the immediate vicinity of the boat ramp, and there's a state statute on point that allows you to declare these idle speed zones around public boat
I
ramps.
suspect a lot of these, we realistically know, like at Newport, they're not going to everybody come out of the water, but this will give law enforcement a mechanism. If somebody's refusing to move for a boat to launch, that they'll have a law to be able to make them move.
So it'll be a second-degree misdemeanor if they fail to yield the right-of-way. So I think, if there's no boat there, no harm with swimming or wading out there, but definitely would be required to yield the right-of-way if there's a boat approaching from the land or for the water.
And the other boat ramps that you guys have were either, in staff's estimation and our recommendation, either inappropriate for swimming or inappropriate to have an idle zone in order to provide sort of that safe mix of swimming and boating.
Nobody's going to swim off the, Masha Sands boat ramp, for example. I mean, who wants to swim out there?
Or roho, you get swept.
Or Bottoms
swept
Road or
out.
something like that,
Yeah.
I second the motion.
We have a motion.
River boat ramp, lower.
We've got both of them.
Upper and lower.
Well, the lower one, that's kind of, we have swimming there?
Apparently so. Look at, they got 2 head nods out there, and they should know.
I can see the upper one, I can't see the lower one.
Oh, yeah. We used to jump off the bridge, so a lot of swimming, a lot of swimming going on there.
Wait, we don't...
I said used to. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Do we have any citizens, Patty? Further discussion from the board? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0.
Chuck and I both cleared with the county attorney that we could vote on this one and not recuse ourselves.
Very good. General business, item number 27.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this agenda item requests board approval of amendment number 5 to the amended restated agreement for operations and maintenance management services by and between Wkaulla and County and ESG Operations Incorporated. What this does is removes road and bridge, fleet, and solid waste services from the ESG contract, puts those particular services under the county's purview. And what this does also is amends their contract to allow them to just focus strictly on water and wastewater operations. So that's the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any citizens? Further discussion from the board?
Well, I ran the Public Works for 8 years. I think this is a good idea. There's any number of advantages, the least of which being FEMA, for example. We talked about that today. Right now, the county can't get reimbursed for any emergency responses from the road department. The FEMA just won't pay a contractor, but if it was a county, that's a lot of money we're missing out on. I have nothing against ESG guys. I said I had their job for many years, but it's running a profit, I can tell you that. So I think we're at the transition point now where the original reason for privatizing has been accomplished years ago, and we're growing rapidly. I think it's time for us to take it back over, so we can have some more input from that department as to what policies and procedure. Mike, you remember I used to suggest things all the time that the board needed to change, and I think we need to get that back.
Well, I'm just concerned about the change in the wastewater operating fund over a 1-year period. It just bothers me. I've got an explanation, but it just seems like going up $500,000 there was problems there. So.
And I think that's definitely something we need to look at
Yes.
in the future. But I think at this time, this is the right move for right now.
Just for clarification, this amendment doesn't change the wastewater allocation or anything to do with wastewater. It's only dealing with road and bridge fleets and solid waste.
Right.
Further discussion from the board? Hear none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Planning and zoning, item number 24.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Your first item under planning and zoning is an application for change of zoning R1807. In accordance with section 24.01 of the county code, each commission member needs to disclose any contact you may have received regarding this item. Commissioner Stewart.
This is the one that's on, that we talked about today that I said I had, yes, I did talk to a citizen that was opposed to the density, just one citizen. I don't remember their name, but they did call me.
No. None for me.
None for me.
I think I talked to Robbie about it, but I'm not sure.
If there is anyone here who is going to provide any information on the application, including the applicant, please stand up to be sworn. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Yes, this is a request to rezone 26 acres on the north side of Aaron Strickland Road from RR5 to the new LDR Low Density Residential Zoning District. The proposed application is consistent with the Land Development Code, the Comprehensive Plan, and the Crawfordville Town Plan, which identifies this area conceptually for low density residential.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Summer, the comp plan density is what?
It would be restricted to 1 unit per 2 acres.
Even though the zoning allows much more than that.
The
comp
zoning
plan.
would allow what the comprehensive plan permits.
But the
as far as
zoning
density.
is 10 per units per acre, right?
No, it is deferred to by the future land use designation.
I understand that, but
So
I'm saying
it's
that
restricted
zoning,
to-
the maximum zoning
It is
density
restricted to 1 unit per 2 acres
because of the comp
because
plan.
of the comp plan. The zoning for the purpose of density defers to whatever the comp plan designation
I understand that
is.
100%. What's
Period.
the maximum density that this zoning would allow?
1 unit per 2 acres under this land use.
If we
this-
change the comp plan, what
I
would,
understand.
Let
Let's
me-
say it's urban
Let
2
me
then.
explain. In the Crawfordville zoning categories that the board recently adopted, they did not identify density at a separate ratio like some of our other zoning districts do. It, in every case, defers directly to the comprehensive plan's land use designation. So if, for example, this property had a designation of urban 2, which allows 10 units to the acre, then this zoning would also allow 10 units to the acre.
That answers my question.
Yep.
very good. And
This is, the density on this is 1 units per 2 acre, and
1
that's what
unit
it's
per
going
2
to be.
acres.
Right.
Correct.
What if there's a comp plan change done on it? Would that follow?
If there was a comp plan amendment done for this property, then it would defer to whatever that density that land use allowed.
which would require public hearings as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very good. Further discussion? Hear none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. And planning and zoning, item number 25.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is an application for a change of zoning. This is number R1808. This is to go from C2 to RR2. Your agenda item says RR1. That is just merely a typo. It was advertised and heard by the Planning Commission for RR2. In accordance with Section 24.01 of the Code, each commission member needs to disclose any contacts you may have received from interested parties.
None.
I spoke to the property owner.
None.
None?
If there is anyone here who is going to provide any information on this application, including the applicant, please stand up to be sworn. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Did-
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any citizens? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. All right, that moves us to Commissioner agenda items. I have the one add-on. You guys may have received the email today. The Florida Association of Counties has a vacancy for second vice president. Whoever fills that seat would, 1 year from now, would become the first vice president, and then the following year the president-elect. The third year would be the president of the Florida Association of Counties, which is our statewide organization.
Mr. Chairman, since you're not allowed to make a motion because you're the chairman, I'll make a motion for you to approve the letter.
All right, thank you. And so the public knows I'm asking to be considered for that position for second vice president, so we can make sure that we have a seat at the table.
You got Nick Maddox behind you?
Nick Maddox he's right ahead of me.
Well, I mean, but
Yep.
is he supporting you on this?
Yep.
I second that.
Very good. We got a first and a second. Do we have any citizens?
Nick likes Wkaulla.
Further discussion from the board? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Thank you very
You
much.
better win, Ralph.
I think we can pull it off. I've been making a lot of phone calls. I think we've got it.
Let me know if I can help you.
Thank you.
I know a lot of people.
I do. All of you. Please call anybody that you know. And, you know, the way I look at it, we got a couple big things like the BMAP program. You know, we know we're the hardest hit county out of 67 counties. And so we want to make sure we keep that money flowing here. But when that money starts flowing, everybody else wants to suck it to other parts of the state. And so we want to keep that conversation there. And then also, very likely that the additional homestead exemption is going to pass in November.
Oh, yeah.
We're protected with being a fiscally constrained county, but same thing. When these other counties are losing millions of dollars because of that, we can become a easy prey, easy target at
They
that
can
point.
get rid of that fiscally constrained system.
Exactly. And
Some of
and we're outnumbered in that, so we need to make sure that we're driving that message.
Some of these committees that we serve on are actually pretty important.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, that ends our commissioner agenda items. County attorney,
Nothing additional this evening?
county administrator.
Yes, don't forget, and also this announced to the public, we already put it on all our communications. On Wednesday, September 12th at 6 o'clock at the community center, we're going to have a community meeting and our staff, who is here, by the way, for about government and what our budget looks like and how it's constructed, etc. So don't forget that. That's at 6 o'clock on Wednesday. Also, I'd like to recognize the staff that's here today. They all came, and we got Louie, Marvin, Miss Cheryl. She runs the show, by the way.
Don't forget about Nanette. She's here, too.
And Nanette and Brandy and Miss Robin, Debbie DeBose, and Nakisha and Harold. Thank y'all all for coming. And
Why did y'all make them come anyway?
Huh?
Why did you make them come to the meeting?
They should. It's their budget.
Oh, it's about the budget.
Yeah, but they're all supportive, and we got a great team, and I just want to thank them for coming.
Yeah,
And thank Brandy for pulling the budget together, and she whips all these people into shape. So
Hopefully
Thank you.
David won't make you come to many more of these.
thank you.
Thank you. All right, Patty, citizens to be heard. None at this time. Discussion items from commissioners?
Two things. Did I understand that Cleve retired, Cleve Fleming?
He's retiring October 1.
Okay, we'll have time.
Best information I've got. So.
I thought I saw something on social media that he had a retirement party, but, well, okay, well, I'll wait till hopefully we'll have a little something for him, because he has certainly served the community for many years, and through the good, bad, and ugly, but anyway, I wanted to thank him personally. But anyway, the other one is, we voted on an item tonight. I just wanted to make a point, tab 24, that change of zoning. I want us to consider, and I don't know if we can have staff bring back a recommendation. It's kind of goes against what we talked about the other night with the septic tanks. You know, I'd love to, the first question I asked was, can we put that subdivision on sewer? And, you know, we need to aggressively be looking for ways to put subdivisions on sewer, so I said, well, that's in the town plan in that zone, so I'd like us to put some mechanism in our comp plan, or however we do that, to require septic, or not require a sewer in all those areas. I mean, it's counterproductive what we talked about the other night about not putting any more septic tanks in, and then here we are putting them right in downtown. What's going to be our downtown plan? We're putting septic tanks in. We just voted to do it. So that's counterproductive to what we talked about the other night. And so if we can do that, I'd love to see at least the town plan have sewer and require that of the developer.
I think that's what the whole idea of the feasibility study, because that'll tell us where sewer's affordable and where it isn't. So I'm hoping that downtown will be affordable, and we can move forward that way.
I'd like to see us do it sooner, because I don't know how long this feasibility study is going to take.
You know, it all depends on what the setup is, as you know. I mean, when you got to start building $100,000 lift stations to serve 4 houses, it becomes, you know, economically.
But Randy, if we don't require sewer,
Well, we do, but what's the lot size, you know, we can have the discussion about it later, but what if you're doing 5-acre lots? Should you be on sewer then? So we got to have a cutoff. Right now, the cutoff point is what? 2 acres?
5 acres.
Anything that's less than an acre
Has
would
to be on
would
sewer.
require sewer.
And the B map says if you're on less than an acre, you got to have a performance-based septic system. So
Or nitrogen
I know,
reducing.
but
nitrogen reducing.
I don't want, but we should be driving denser development in the downtown plan.
I agree.
If we do that, otherwise, developers are going to try to navigate around the requirement for sewer by building just slightly bigger than an acre subdivision.
Now, the upside to that is, if he was on central sewer, how much density could he get there? Would he been able to?
Through a comp plan amendment, he could go significantly higher than 1 unit
So it
per
does,
2
I
acres.
understand what you're saying, Mike, but on the same note, what we're doing does encourage less dense,
You're right.
less dense
It does.
development in areas where there isn't sewer.
You're
If this
right.
piece of property had been where mine was, for
But it
example.
still puts septic tanks in the ground. I guess
Correct.
that's, you know, to me, it's like we're talking out of both sides of our mouth. If we say we want to get rid of septic tanks and solve the problem, then we put more in, we're not, and I want to see the downtown plan be more dense. Personally, that's what I want, because I think that's where the heavy development needs to be, either commercial or residential multi-use.
Well, that's the way we build the town center, and
Right.
that's where we should be going, and that's
And
why
the-
we need to focus on.
The only way, though, for
Sewer.
us to do that is for us, or the citizens, not us, but the citizens to pay for sewer, to be installed in Hudson Heights, for example, and behind the old Wkaulla Bank. If we ponied up the money to install sewer, that vision would come true, because then people could do more. But up until this point, the only way Wkaulla County has gotten sewer is either a grant or the developer builds it and gives it to the county. We haven't built our own sewer, other than
Yeah,
the
we
force
did.
main for Crawfordville.
Say, we did that.
Yeah, that was a big one.
Was.
But, and you see what happened when the county did that. So I take that back. That is one of the few times I can remember. That was bringing a force main in, but we haven't built any gravity sewer, you know, to serve residential areas, anything like
Can't
that.
afford it, but we did do the pressure main, and look how it changed the
Yep.
face of the county.
But I mean, and again, this discussion for a later day, but I guarantee if we put sewer behind the old bank or Hudson Heights area, then
Well, just
That would be a
something to
game
think
changer.
about, and we need to be I think we need to be going down that road sooner than later, and to help that, especially if we're going to have this
Well, we
town
have to
plan.
get those tanks off the system, so it's the best way to, that's where the best bang for our buck is, to get it off the system. Isn't the part of the state money going to come for getting those tanks off the system? So there's going to be state grants to expand sewer in downtown Crawford.
he is going to be required to put a performance-based system in by the county ordinance, because it's less than 5 acres and it's in the Springs Protection Zone, right, Summer?
Correct.
So he is going to have to put a nitrogen reducing system in.
There are also, Summer and I were talking about it earlier, there are instances where we could actually go in with the developer if we set all systems within reason, within the Crawfordville town plan had to be on sewer, and, you know, if the developer is going to be, you know, say a mile from a force main, there's nothing to say that we can't work with that developer and have some type of cost share program to where they'll pay for a portion of that, we'll pay a portion of that, and then as other properties come onto that, they'll help pay for the contribution and aid
Mike,
construction.
we did the exact same thing on Fox Run. Remember that? Gene Cutchins got approved for septic tanks. The county went in with Gene, and we
Right.
ended up running a force main, and now we got tons of things tied to that
Right.
force main, but you were on the board, I think, at the time, right?
Yep.
And that's exactly what we did, is what
So
David
we
was
need to
talking
be looking at more and more
That's
stuff
what
like
we need to do
that.
more of.
Yeah.
And this is just an example of what I'm talking about. If we just had some mechanism to make that happen going
We
forward.
saved 80, or you guys, I wasn't on the board, but you saved 80 septic tanks from going in the ground by doing that agreement with Gene.
Well, and that property is what, a quarter mile from the force main? Yeah, I mean,
It's
that's,
a little less than a quarter, but
yeah.
But it's all going to build up. I mean, that's going to be dense, and that's what we want to have, is dense, I would think. So-
But you got to remember that, and I don't want to get too deep into this, but the definition of available sewer for a residential means it's either gravity or it's a low-pressure system.
Right.
And what we have out there is
High
a force main.
Right. I understand that. Well, that was just something I wanted to bring up, must be thinking about.
He's got to be on performance base anyway, though, so I didn't know if you
Okay.
knew that.
No, I didn't, but thank you.
Jerry?
We had a presentation tonight from Career Force, and it bothers me somewhat, and it's a government deal, and the government is sometimes totally crazy. They're training people to have jobs, and let's say I'm an employer and I want to hire one of those people. The first thing I'm going to do is a background check, and so this person comes in for a job, and I run a background check, and he can't get a job. So they train a lot of those folks for jobs that can't get a job because of the background check. And very few employers will hire someone without a background check. It's just, I know an employer now that can't find enough employees for his service, and he's hiring a service to do the pre-qualifying and the background check. This gentleman says the government will not allow him to do a background check. Well, how crazy is that? You know, you're training people for a job, and they don't know that they can't get a job because they're going to have a background check. So, it's very confusing.
Trump did it again.
Sir?
Trump did it again.
All right, so one thing, I spoke to the staff earlier today at our agenda meeting. We approved our contract with our IT folks, and this is kind of related but not really related. I get a lot of complaints about the sound quality of our Comcast feed at home, you know, and I'd like to say, I mean, you guys get the same thing. I'd like for us to solve that. I'd like to figure out, you know, is it coming from Comcast? Can you?
Yeah, it's back
Would you mind coming up so the folks can hear you?
He's not
Because we get a lot.
He's not a Comcast employee.
Right.
Okay.
But I believe it's in the back system there.
You think it's our equipment that's recording it and sending the feed to
All I
Comcast?
can do is up what the signal is given to me, which comes from back there.
Okay.
And it's my opinion that the signal is not strong enough.
So you're
We
saying
need-
it's Jessica's fault.
Well, you're not speaking in your microphones.
That's another problem.
That's part of
yes.
it.
But
Yeah, well, if we're speaking in our
You
microphones,
sit
then
back here and talk, because
Right.
you're not going to get picked up.
Yeah, Chuck.
And Ralph, we've tried, over the years, we've tried lapel mics, we've tried directional mics. I know we went through 3 or 4 different types of mics up here, and nothing's ever functioned.
Well, maybe we need a better amplifier back here to boost that signal to you?
I think the signal can be boosted. I mean, the thing is, boost the signal enough here where I have some control on my board.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Because I'm all the way up, and I'm just...
And then
getting
we
like
hear
two-
people tell me they have their television all the way up as well. And so
Yeah.
we need to be overdriving that signal, so you have to
So I
throttle
can
it back.
be in control.
I hear
yes.
it when I used to watch the meetings. Wasn't very often. You hear a lot of humming in the background.
yeah.
So that tells me the ambient, the background noise is overpowering.
We
It's
fixed
not-
that.
Huh?
We
I
fixed
think they
that.
fixed that.
That's how long it's been since I watched the board meeting.
But none of us want to sit here and talk into a mic, and if we're trying to share with people, and you got to look around, and I mean, that's a painful thing to do, but I do my best to try to get up here because they've scolded me a few times about it, but we need to do something better. I mean, if you can't sit back and have a directional mic, see, now you can't hardly hear it.
Right.
You got to get your face right up in it, so I don't know
What was wrong with the ones that you clipped?
I don't know. I
Remember when Mr.
it
Nettles
was-
went to the
yes,
bathroom with his
you could
on?
hear him going to the bathroom. But I think if we got some high quality lapel mics, they may work better.
Right.
Because you can get them where they'll pick you up as well as these
I'd
do.
like that. I don't want to spend a bunch of money on it, but I mean,
No, or have someone look at the amplifier
Yeah,
back
I think
here.
if I get more signal, then it'll improve.
All right,
Yeah.
we will have somebody look at the amplifier, for sure.
Very good. Thank you. That's all I have. Chuck?
I still have we have all these advisory committees that we've set up, the park board and those committees, and I would like to see reports to the board from those committees, just what they're thinking, what they're talking about, what's on the mind of those advisory committees, and I would just like to see them come forward and tell us, okay? And, have it a fairly regular item that comes forward, and I was trying to get this done, and it just doesn't seem to be happening, and so...
Can we ask those committee chair people to come and give us a report every quarter, or
Some of them are,
they only meet every quarter?
some are required to do it in their resolution or ordinance that appoints them, but some are not. So we can ask the ones that are not.
I agree with Chuck. I'd like to hear from them, just so we know what.
I'd like to hear what's on their mind and what they're discussing, okay? I know the one sales tax committee had a meeting this last week, or a couple of weeks ago, and what they're discussing, what they're thinking.
They will report to you in December. Every year they're required to.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear from the parks boards and recreation, just to find out what's the needs down there. Maybe we don't get to hear all that. I know maybe David you do, but it'd be just nice to know if we could help from up here.
Park board, rec board, there's a whole host of them, library board.
And since you brought that up, you reminded me, we have a vacancy in District 1 for a Planning Commission alternate member. If anyone lives in District 1 and would like to be
where's
be on the...
District 1? Most people wouldn't know.
That is Wkaulla Station area, northeast part of the county. So if you live in that area and you're interested in serving on the Planning Commission, please contact me or shoot me an email.
Other thing is the realignment of Cager Posey to make that more effective. We talked about it a year ago. I haven't heard anything on that.
We've made a offer or presentation to the owner that owns the property, and he is consulting on it.
Consulting on it.
Yes, he is.
And how about the downtown regional stormwater facility?
We're waiting for Kimley Horn to tell us where they are with FDOT. FDOT has come back and said there's 2 stormwater ponds that they can expand. And we just need to know which 2 and what effect that would have on our stormwater plan. Then we'll go from there.
Okay, which we're working forward, trying to move that forward. Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
We stand adjourned. Thank you all for coming out tonight.
Oh, by the way, Laura said she's got the surround sound wide open.